Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Snowfall Season 5, Episode 5. This episode is titled The Iliad Part 1, which is a pretty strong indicator that there's going to be a Part 2.
With that cliffhanger, there better be. I need to know what is going on with that tiger. Is it really there? Are they having some sort of fever dream because they're bleeding out? Like, what is going on?
This is the craziest episode of this season, and
Wild.
I don't say that lightly because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens on this show, but there is just so much violence that is going on right now. We've got like this big overarching mystery around these attacks. We of course have the mystery about that darn tiger at the end of the episode too.
That's crazy.
It was so nuts. This is I have so many questions about this. Like, number one, is this a CG tiger? Is it a real? Where do you go to get a tiger to do something in this sort of scene? I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm hoping that there's going to be some sort of post-episode interviews out there where they will talk about whether or not they were actually working with a tiger or not.
All right, well, hit that subscribe button because, of course, we will be here to talk about part 2 when we get around to that. And we also have all sorts of other discussions happening right now at the channel, including, of course, Power Book 4 Force, Killing Eve, This Is Us, Survivor, The Blacklist. It is a very busy time here at the channel.
Also follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. All right,
Okay.
let's start with the biggest question.
Yes.
Who is behind all of this? And for me, I've come up empty because it's not Peaches, and we are going to talk about Peaches a bit later in the video.
Yeah.
And he's off with a summer cold, and I think we all kind of know that that's not where this is going. But I do not think that he is behind this. And when they all sat down to talk about it, they don't think he's behind it either. I mean, I don't know who else it could be. I don't think it's Scully either. We just had this episode with him and Louie and Jerome where they kind of found some equal ground where they're good right now. So it doesn't really make sense for him to all of a sudden decide to hit everybody. I honestly just don't know who it is.
I tried to come up with some real harebrained theories as to what was going on here, because at first I was just sort of like, okay, is this somebody who is tied to Rob and is upset that Rob is dead? But, Rob is not exactly the full-fledged dangerous power broker within the world of Snowfall.
Yeah.
So that's probably not happening. I then went like, oh, is it someone close to Mel who wants revenge because Mel was treated so badly? No, it's probably not. This is the best I got right now, is that maybe it's somebody who was a part of Man Boy's organization on some level who, they would know sort of the overall layout of Franklin's organization. Maybe they would know some of the people to go after.
I was actually for a little while wondering if Franklin's girlfriend V had something to do with it. And I think it's because y'all have gotten into my head that there's something up with her. And I see it and I feel it. Like, she's kind of a little bit too good to be true. But I actually don't think that it has to do with her either. There was this one moment when the hit happened to Leon where they actually took the mask off of someone and everyone was kind of like, man, I don't know. But there was a moment that it almost looked like Leon recognized. I couldn't tell because later when everyone was talking about it, he was just like, I don't know who it is. And
Yeah.
It felt very genuine. But there was a moment that he looked down where I was like, does he know who that is? Or is this just hurting his heart because more people are dying around him and he's just been so affected by this?
Like, that explanation makes a good bit of sense. I mean, I don't think we should rule out that maybe Leon does know and he's afraid to say for whatever reason. Like, I'm not ruling out the possibility either that we're not really supposed to know who this person or people are. Maybe it's some sort of like rival organization that is just starting out and they've heard from this, that, or the other person. Here is the only evidence we really got at the time of this recording, guys. The synopsis for episode 6 mentions that the man responsible will be unveiled. So it is a man. So therefore you can rule out any, I guess, women candidates who are out there for this.
Maybe, unless someone like V is behind it and she has sent out a man to
Yeah.
do it. I mean, I just honestly don't know who it is.
No,
Leave us your comments below. Who do you think is behind this?
I think ultimately, regardless, it made for a really compelling, just like super dangerous episode because the whole shootout that was going on where we saw Gustavo and Teddy, and Teddy gets hit, and like
Yeah.
that was so intense and dangerous. And then we see it, later on in the episode with everything that's going on with Louie and then the police and like
Mhm.
this was really like high octane and real and raw and not like some sort of like cheesy action movie where like cars are flying through the air or anything like that.
Yeah, someone really wants to take out Franklin's organization.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody that is involved in it got hit. So I think your theory about it being sort of a new up and comer or someone who's just needs Franklin out of the picture so they can step in is probably a pretty good theory.
Well, here's what I really want. If it's someone we know, I want to feel like a total idiot for not guessing them or not figuring it out. Because, I like it when shows are like, here's how smart we are. And they're doing it in a way that doesn't just make me feel like oh, I could have figured this out in advance. Because it means, okay, the writers really put a lot of thought into this where
Yeah.
they understand their show better than, I do. And they should know the show better than I do.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Sissy.
Yeah.
Because she's been meeting with Reuben a lot, and he has asked her to, I can't even believe I'm about to say this because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's asked her to plant a bug in Franklin's office because he needs to know what's going on with Franklin if he's going to help her find
Yeah.
Teddy. And I'm just like, dude, that is such a stretch. You're going to ask his mother to
Yeah.
do this. And as I was thinking it, Sissy said exactly what I was thinking. She's like, are you kidding me? Like, no, you think that I'm gonna do something that's gonna put my son in danger? No, get out of here, go kick rocks. And he's kind of like, okay, well, I understand, but you could just take this pen or not. It's just like, just take your pen and go.
Okay, Sissy, I love you, Sissy. You're a great character. I think Reuben, I don't know you, so I can't say you're a good character or not, but this is the only thing I'm just wondering through all of this is like, how much is this arrangement really going to help anybody? Because it's like Sissy's trying to sort of have her cake here and eat it too, where she's like, okay, I want to make sure I find a way to take out Teddy, to get back at Teddy, but I don't want anything to happen to Franklin. I want to be super, super careful. So she's like assuming that she can get what she wants without anything happening to Franklin. And I don't exactly think Reuben feels the same way. But like you said, Reuben's in this spot where he's like trying to get information on Franklin from Franklin's own mother, who's never going to give it up. So it just feels like he is just like chasing his own tail.
No, it felt so idiotic for Reuben to even suggest something like that to Franklin's mother. I mean, no. And it feels like her and Reuben know each other well enough that he knew that this was an ask that was going to get shot down. There's just no way. And listen, I understand that she wants to get to Teddy.
Yeah.
She thinks that Teddy's responsible for whatever happened to Alton. She doesn't know if Alton's dead. Nobody knows. And my theory is actually that Alton is not dead. There was a while there that I was thinking that he was. And I know I've had crazy theories already this season that turned out to be a big L here. But it's the more that I think about it and the way that Teddy has been kind of dancing around stuff, I just think that it's actually not in Teddy's best interest to have killed Alton because Alton is Franklin's dad,
Yeah.
and everyone is connected to Alton in some kind of way. And Teddy needs to continue his relationship with Franklin. And if he kills Alton, all the house of cards fall down and he has to start again. And what we know about Teddy is all about his mission. He wants to complete that at any way possible. So when he was first talking to that other CIA handler or whatever, and they were like, "Oh, what about the Alton situation?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's taken care of." I think the CIA handler just took that to mean that he's dead. He chose his words very carefully. He didn't say he took him out. He didn't say he killed him. He's not actually said that at all. And even when he was talking to Franklin, Franklin kind of sat down with him and was like, "What happened here?" Teddy really danced around it. I actually think that he's got Alton alive somewhere. I don't know if he's holding Alton captive somewhere or him and Alton sat down and just came to an agreement where Alton was kind of like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. What do I get in return? Okay, you get this, but we need you to go really underground and you cannot let anyone know you're alive right now. I need the mission to continue forward and you will get yours kind of thing in the end. And I don't mean like you'll get yours, but like you'll get yours kind of thing. I think Alton's alive and Teddy knows it. It's just, it's so suspicious the way Teddy's been kind of dancing around stuff, and he needs Franklin, and he needs Franklin's whole family. I just think I don't know.
All right. First of
Maybe
all,
I'm way off. If I'm way off, I know I took an L on the sissy thing. Let me know.
I live for big theories. This is a big theory
too.
that I like, in part because I love Kevin Carroll. I've loved Kevin Carroll ever since The Leftovers. Like don't remove Kevin Carroll from your show. So I want to believe that Alton is still alive, and I before you brought this up, like I hadn't actually really put that much thought into it, and it does make a good bit of sense because if Franklin actually, knows for sure that Alton is dead, then he's got a real cause to act against Teddy. And there's already still a very precarious sort of situation right now because if Sissy keeps going to Franklin acting as though Alton is dead, that may just accomplish the same result here in the end. But for now, Teddy does have like that tiny bit of plausible deniability. Like I could see Teddy holding Alton captive somewhere. I don't know if it's just like some off the map site or something like that. I don't know if it's a situation where there's just like some handler watching over him at all times. I think Teddy is the sort of person who wants to like cross his T's and dot his I's and make sure nothing gets out. So I think he want to make sure in some way that Alton can't go back and talk to Franklin or Sissy or whoever else if he's still out there. But if this is the case, man, what a reveal it would be if it's like a couple episodes before the finale and then just like Alton climbs out from under the woodwork somewhere.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's going to be some like huge reveal that's coming this season. So I mean that would be it. Okay, let's also talk a little bit about Leon. So we saw in the past couple episodes that he is really getting ready to go up against the police. He talked to Javi about getting like launchers and like he just was ready to go. But after his talk with Sissy, which so far is my absolute most favorite scene of the whole season so far, was the talk that they had about the idea that you can make changes and start a revolution without that.
Yeah.
That he ends up going back to Javi in this episode and is kind of like, you know what, I've decided I don't need these launchers. I will take, handguns and other things instead, but not this. It's kind of making me, I want to know, like, what is his plan now? It seems like he's shifting gears, but what is it?
I think, I feel a lot for Leon because I think Leon's like the most morally conflicted person on the show right now because I think Leon, he really wants peace. And I think Leon really wants as a way to get out of this situation, but I think he also feels trapped because so many people he knows are all in this organization and none of them seem to have that many plans to slow it down. Like I know Franklin and V, and there's this whole thing about will Franklin get out of the life to go legit in real estate and all that, but we all know we're watching Snowfall. Franklin's not about to get out of this life anytime soon, and I just think this conflict is going to get worse for Leon as time goes on, and that makes me very, very worried that Leon's going to put himself in some compromising position. I do really worry that somebody's not going to get out of this season alive at this point, and I think from where he stands, he's one of the people I'm the most worried about, and I don't want it to happen. I'm making that very clear. Do not kill Leon, but I'm worried about Leon.
No, Leon is one of the absolute best
Yeah.
characters on this show. He is really conflicted. We even saw him talking to Franklin earlier this season. It's kind of like, what's the point of having all this money if nothing changes? Like, nothing changes. How do we make some sort of a change? And he's really in this situation where he's really stuck, where money doesn't seem to change anything, guns don't seem to change anything, words don't seem to change anything, and he's just getting more and more sort of frustrated and running out of roads.
All right. So now we get to the weirdest part of this whole episode to me. And I say this knowing full well there is a tiger that was present in this episode, but we meet this woman, Parissa. I believe that is her name. She's going to have somewhat of a role moving forward. She has some sort of connection to Teddy, and, she's helping Teddy recover somewhat. But
She is odd.
what is going on with these sort of, like, we talk about weird, trippy sequences. There's some stuff in this episode with this. I do not want to think about it. I just want to acknowledge that it was there, it was in the episode, and we are moving on.
Yeah, we're moving on. But one of the things that she mentioned, which is something that we've seen in the comments a lot,
Yeah.
we've been thinking ourselves as well. I mean, this show does take place in the 80s. They did bring up Halley's Comet. The show
Yeah.
is very, very good at bringing up events and things that were happening during that time, which is time period I grew up in, where she is tending to Teddy and that he's bleeding everywhere. And she's like, wait a second, I need to put on some gloves because one of the other nurses at the hospital ended up, contracting HIV, because this is a time period where this was very prevalent and it was really a thing that people didn't know that much about before. But
Yeah.
everyone was really learning about it the hard way coming up in the 80s. And this is where we circle back to Peaches. So a lot of people think that he also has this. And I think that that is where this story is going. The
Yeah.
show really does like to keep things within that era and tackle really hard things that happened in the 80s, like this.
That it makes all the sense in the world, really, because we're seeing kind of all the other characters around Peaches be very uncertain as to what's going on here, and there's even that sort of flippant line from Teddy early in the episode of, "Oh, you're giving out sick days now," because it is a situation where when you don't know what something is, you don't know how to acknowledge it, you don't know how to treat it, the mind just goes to, "Oh, they're just sick," and just kind of cast it off as no big deal. But this is obviously a very big deal.
Yes.
This is something that defined that particular era, and there's still a lot of people struggling with it today. And I've always loved how Snowfall takes this stuff seriously. I think we're getting a very interesting introduction to it here. I don't know if this is going to be something that sort of extends beyond Peaches, but clearly, in addition to everything else that we do not need to discuss with this Parissa character, she is introducing a very important, timely part of this world.
Yeah, she is.
I'm assuming that Teddy is going to miraculously recover in an episode or two, because let's be honest, if Teddy is spending the rest of this season in bed, that is not exciting and that is not fun.
Well, and we're also going to see how she's going to sort of deal with his car that's full of drugs. She kind of opened up that trunk and was like, oh, hello. And we know how weird she is.
Yes.
So, I mean, how screwed over is Teddy really going to be? Probably pretty.
Yeah, and you know what? There's something to me that would just be so ironic and delightful about Teddy, who's just been like puffing out his chest all season about, how he's sort of the big boss and he's running everything. And it just so turns out that this very unusual hospital employee ends up being the person who maybe just completely screws him.
Yep.
Okay, well, we, of course, will be getting into part 2 very, very soon. Let's hope it lives up to all of the hype and all of the mystery we have set up here.
It will. It will. This season has been fantastic. This is one of our favorite shows.
For sure. So hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss that. Follow us on Instagram at Matt and Jess TV, and we will see you here next time.